Are you working for the IELTS speaking exam? And maybe you're a little bit worried about getting a good score for your lexical resource. Now, there's a really good way that you can improve your score in lexical resource, and that is through skillful use of paraphrasing. And I've chosen to make a video about this because many IELTS candidates, even at the kind of higher levels, miss out on opportunities to paraphrase. And it's a great way to boost your score in this particular marking criteria. So first of all, what is paraphrasing? Well, paraphrasing is when you say something in slightly different words. And you'll know about this from the writing part because you are often encouraged to write a paraphrase of the IELTS question in your essay. So really it's exactly the same in the speaking exam. And being able to paraphrase is used in the band descriptors. So I'm going to talk about the band descriptors first, and then I'm going to go into how you can paraphrase, and then finally I'm going to give you a couple of tips for how you can use paraphrasing on the day in the exam. So the band descriptors for speaking when it comes to paraphrasing say the following. Band 4 rarely attempts to paraphrase. Band 5 attempts to paraphrase but with mixed success. Band 6 generally paraphrases successfully, and band 7 uses paraphrase effectively. So basically, if you are, let's say you're a kind of overall band 7 speaker but you don't paraphrase, you will kind of score lowly on that little part of the lexical resource criteria. So it's a really important skill to develop. So basically, how can you do this? How can you learn to paraphrase in your IELTS speaking exam? Well, the first thing that you need to be doing is learning and using synonyms so that you can expand your breadth of vocabulary. Now, you are probably, hopefully, doing this anyway because a massive part of success in IELTS is all down to vocabulary. Now think about the reading exam. You've got your questions, you've got your text. It's very rare that you find the same word in the question as in the text because they like to use synonyms and paraphrases. So anyway, successful preparation for IELTS really depends on vocabulary building. And I guess in the speaking exam, you are being asked to kind of show off your range of synonyms in your speaking. So when you're preparing, you've got to be reading and you've got to be watching videos and you've got to be listening, you know, all around those key IELTS topics so that your mind is constantly uncovering new ways to say the same thing, because that's what you need in order to paraphrase. Now, another thing that you need to do really is to practice paraphrasing because it's often quite a challenging skill to do. So I would really recommend getting together with a study buddy or a fellow student or someone that you know online and actually literally practicing paraphrasing what you or what your partner has said. So to give you an example, I'm going to give you a kind of simple part 1 question. What do you do in your free time? Answer number 1. Well, in my spare time, I like to play football and watch movies. So already we've got a synonym, right? Because the question said free time, the answer says spare time. And then the next person can give another answer. Well, in my downtime, I enjoy playing football and watching TV. So we've got yet another synonym, a slightly American one, downtime. Okay, and there's also been a change in grammatical form, because the first answer, I like to play football. Second one, I enjoy playing football. And of course, changing the grammar is another form of paraphrasing. So I would strongly recommend that you get together with some other people you know who are working for IELTS, practice answering questions, same question, but with paraphrases of each other's answers. It might be a bit challenging at first, but it should be fun, and it should start to really help you find different ways of saying the same thing. Now, another thing you can do is to play with the kind of order of the clauses, and I did just touch on this a little bit. So this is kind of like a grammatical paraphrase. Now this is particularly good in the writing when you have to write your paraphrase of the question. But if you're a strong speaker with good grammar knowledge, you can use this in the speaking exam too. However, don't do this if it's going to slow you down, because what you don't want to do is go as you sit there and reconfigure the grammar. Don't do that. If it comes out naturally, great. If you're good enough to practice this, great. If it's a little bit beyond where your language is now, don't worry. Here's an example with a part 3 style question and answer. Do you think that we have more free time now than we used to in the past? Well, in the past, people worked hard, perhaps doing a lot of physically demanding work. So I guess that they had less spare time to relax when compared to modern life. But I'd also say that in today's world, we're always switched on, with the phone or the computer or social media. So perhaps we have less time on our hands than our ancestors did. Now in that answer, I've given quite a few synonyms again for free time. So we've got that kind of vocabulary synonym. We're not just repeating free time, free time, free time, free time. But I also changed the order of information. So the question asks if I think we have more free time now than in the past. And when I answered the question, I changed that order, so I talked about the past first. And simple things like that are just a really great way of showing that you've got that range of vocabulary, you know multiple ways to say the same thing, and you've also got that flexibility that you can kind of play with the order of information. And now finally, a couple of tips as to when you can do this in the IELTS speaking exam. Firstly, if the examiner asks you something and you don't understand, this is a great opportunity to show that you can paraphrase. Candidates often really panic if they don't understand. My God, I didn't understand. I can't answer the question. What am I going to? Doesn't matter. It's normal to not understand a question. Okay, if you can't understand every question, maybe that's going to be a problem. But if it's just one or two and you're not quite sure what the examiner said to you, that's fine. It's totally fine, especially if you can paraphrase. So let's say the examiner asks you a question and you think, not quite sure what they said. You can say, sorry, can you repeat that? It's not going to get you any extra points though. If you can paraphrase back the question, the examiner will actually mark you up for showing your paraphrasing skills. So for example, do you think we have more free time now than we used to in the past? What did he say? Sorry, are you asking me if I think that people have got a little bit more spare time these days than they used to 100 years ago? That's an example of a paraphrase. And the examiner can then clarify that, and you can go on and answer the question. There is no problem in doing that. Okay, now the second time when it's really good if you can paraphrase in the speaking exam is to summarize something that you said. Maybe in part 2, when you've spoken for a long time, it can be a really great way to kind of wrap up that little talk. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you today about something I really enjoy doing in my free time. And my favorite hobby is football, which I've been playing since I was 5. So that's everything I'd like to talk to you about. My special activity. I've been doing it all my life, and it's been really wonderful to talk about it with you, or something. But having that ability to kind of repeat yourself using different words is a really great skill to develop for your IELTS speaking exam. Now, if you have any questions about this, or any comments, any doubts, anything like that, please leave them in the comments section below. I am always happy to answer your questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe, because there are new videos here 4 or 5 times a week. So this is a great place for you to learn more English and get some really cool study skills. Best of luck with your IELTS exam, and thank you so much for watching this video.